Good day everyone. So for today, we will discuss about the tectonic earthquakes due to subduction and its impact on humans and the environment presented by yours truly. So for our discussion for today, we will talk about the connection between tectonic activity, particularly subduction and the powerful earthquakes it causes. Subduction zones are regions where one tectonic plate slides beneath another, often resulting in some of the world's most catastrophic earthquakes. So, this presentation will also explore the consequences of these natural events, not just on the physical environment but also on human life, infrastructure, and society. So, let's begin. We have first is what are tectonic plates? So it is the Earth's outer shell called the lithosphere. It is divided into rigid slabs known as tectonic plates. These plates move slowly and their interactions at plate boundaries cause most of the planet's geologic activities including earthquakes. So, this explains that the Earth's surface isn't a single solid layer. It's broken into several large and small pieces called tectonic plates. These plates float on top of the semi-molten layer of the mantle known as the asthenosphere. So though their movement is slow, just a few centimeters per year, their interactions cause massive geological phenomena. When these plates collide, pull apart, or slide past one another, the energy release can lead to the formation of mountains, volcanic eruptions, and earthquakes. So these concepts forms the foundation for understanding how subduction leads to powerful seismic activity. So next is the mechanism of subduction. So a subduction zone forms where one plate moves beneath another. Typically, a denser oceanic plate is forced under a lighter continental plate. This process creates trenches and volcanic arcs. So in these slides, we explore how subduction occurs at convergent boundaries where two plates collide because oceanic plates are denser than continental plates. They sink or subduct beneath them, descending into a mantle. As the subducting plate moves downward, it melts and causes magma to rise, forming volcanoes on the overriding plate. This is why volcanic arcs, like those in the Pacific Ring of Fire, often form near subduction zones. And also, additionally, the intense pressure and friction along the boundary store vast amounts of energy and energy that can later be released as a major earthquake. Next is how megathrust earthquakes form. So in a subduction zone, two plates can become locked together due to friction. So over time, stress builds up until its release suddenly when the fault ruptures, producing a megathrust earthquake, the most powerful type of earthquake on Earth. So in this slide, it describes the process that leads to a megathrust earthquake. At shallow depth in subduction zones, the interface between the two plates can become stuck or locked. And even though the plates continue to move, they can't slide past each other easily due to friction. So this causes stress and strain to accumulate for hundreds of years. And eventually, the stress exceeds the strength of the rocks, causing a sudden rupture. And when that happens, the plates slip abruptly, releasing enormous amounts of energy in the form of seismic waves. So, these megathrust earthquakes are responsible for the most devastating seismic events in history, such as the 2011 Japan earthquake and tsunami. Next is we have the immediate human impacts or the impacts of the human. So ground shaking and building collapse cause injuries and death. Infrastructure destruction disrupts rescue operations and leads to economic losses, and also survivors often experience psychological trauma. So it focuses on the direct immediate effects of a subduction related earthquake. The intense ground shaking causes buildings, bridges, and other structures to collapse. This is often the main cause of casualties. Roads and communication lines are damaged, making it difficult for emergency responders to reach affected areas. So the destruction of homes and businesses leads to massive financial losses and unemployment. And on top of that, physical damage, survivors often suffer emotional and psychological distress, including fear, anxiety, and trauma from witnessing or losing loved ones. These immediate impacts make large earthquakes both a humanitarian and economic crisis. Next, we have the post-quake human impacts. So, after the main quake or after the main earthquake, secondary hazards like fires, disease outbreaks, and aftershocks occur, worsening the disaster's effects. So, even after the shaking stops, the danger isn't over. This slide highlights the lingering human impacts that follow major earthquakes, like broken gas pipes and downed electrical lines, can easily spark fires that spread rapidly due to limited water supply. Meanwhile, destroyed sanitation systems and contaminated water sources can lead to outbreaks of diseases such as cholera, typhoid, and dysentery. So in addition, aftershocks, smaller quakes that follow the main event, can cause further destruction to already weakened structures. So these secondary disasters prolong recovery and put additional strain on relief of operations. Next, we have the environmental impacts such as tsunamis. So if a subduction earthquake happens under the sea, it can displace the sea floor and generate massive tsunamis that travel across entire oceans, devastating coastals and communities. So in this part, it also discusses one of the deadliest effects of undersea subduction earthquakes, such as tsunamis. When the ocean floor suddenly shifts upward or downward, it displaces a huge volume of seawater. So this movement creates powerful waves that radiate outward in all directions. In deep water, these waves may go unnoticed, but as they approach shallow coastal areas, they also increase dramatically in height and energy. When they hit land, they can flatten entire towns, wash away infrastructures, and cause loss of life even thousands of kilometers from the earthquake's origin. Famous examples include the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami and the 2011 Japan tsunami. So next, we have the environmental impacts in land and water. So earthquakes can trigger landslide, avalanches, soil liquefaction, ground subsidence, and surface faulting, all of which alter the landscape. So in these slides, it explains how earthquakes transform the physical environment. So the violent shaking can loosen rocks and soil on steep slopes, causing landslide or avalanches that bury homes and roads. In areas with loose water, saturated soil, liquefaction can occur, making solid ground behave like a liquid, causing buildings to tilt, sink, or collapse. Ground subsidence or sinking of land can lead to flooding in low-lying areas, while surface faulting creates visible cracks and ruptures on the Earth's surface. These effects not only reshape the landscape, but can also permanently change ecosystems, destroy farmland, and contaminate water sources.